Welcome to Robots. This is the podcast that tries to help you be a better human by being smarter about the way you use your technology. A couple things we have coming up for you today. The toilet that's going to keep a closer eye on Grandpa, and maybe you if you're rich enough. Speaking of Grandpa, you'll soon be able to talk to the dead in your living room through a picture of them. We'll get to all of that in just a little bit, but our top story today is picking up on something we talked about a few weeks ago with Anthropic's big, scary Mythos. They're getting ready to talk to the Financial Stability Board about the unreleased Frontier model. And the reason hasn't been completely released, but this is raising a lot of concerns when this organization takes a look. They're scared about the global impact that this tool will have on the economy. So this is more than just a hey, big scary hacker tool that's out there. This thing threatens the financial foundation of the world.
Yeah, it definitely does that. So, and it's not just that it threatens the financial foundation of the world. It threatens the infrastructure, the key component piece of how these things work. I mean, we live in a vastly interconnected society, and those interconnections are physical and digital. And it's this level of interaction that Mythos is really going to be able to go through and start making real impactful changes as to the way that people act and behave. So, I mean, the nice thing about Mythos is that it's still not completely autonomous. It still requires guardrails. It still requires people to interact with it. But there's all kinds of tools out there where people will go through and take these models and the inference functions and how they work and start making them more available and open source and free models, which don't have the same kinds of guardrails and don't have the same kinds of things locked down. So when a technology like this comes out, there's typically a 3 to 6 month lead time before they get copied and mimicked. And it's the copying and mimicking that's the scary part, because once they release this thing, a bunch of people are going to make a bunch of things that aren't good and do bad things, and they will make autonomous weapons. I mean, that's what'll happen. So, I mean, we were all excited when Anthropic was like, we're not going to let our models be used by the US federal government to make autonomous weapons and spy on people. Well, as soon as they release this thing, someone's going to figure out how to copy most of what's there. They're going to insert it into their own different models, and then the federal government's going to get it anyways. So it's just a matter of time. Like we can put up roadblocks. We can try to contain this, but unless we all agree that it needs to be contained, it's not going to be contained. And this is one of those things where, like, if you think of it like water, and you think of what we're doing, we have a bunch of people with their hands wrapped around trying to hold this water in, and it's just slipping through the cracks. And that's going to keep happening.
Close your fist, the more sand will slip through your fingers.
Exactly. Like that is what this is. And someone eventually is going to be like, I just want to give the AI all the autonomy to do all the things that it wants to do. And then the AI is going to go, now's my shot. It's not going to be good for us. I hate to break it to everybody, but we're not on this list of things to hang on to.
I think an interesting element to the story, though, is at least we don't know a lot about how this meeting has come together, but on the surface, it appears that this is Anthropic voluntarily coming forward and saying, hey, we should all put our heads together and try to figure something out here. That's it. That's the second sort of big step regarding Mythos. Like they were the ones that came out initially to announce that this thing was there and said, hey, we're not going to just throw this out to the world and see what happens. Yeah. This needs more scrutiny. So, I'm the last guy to sit here and point out, the tech companies doing good things, but it's a couple of reasonably good things when it comes to the danger this thing poses.
Of course. And Anthropic has 2,500 people that work for it. 2,500 people that write code, develop, push these things out. And Anthropic writes a lot of its own code, but it writes its own code with people sitting there holding the controls. So Anthropic is doing this. I don't know what Grok is doing, but my gut says that Grok will do whatever it can to get rid of people as quickly as possible and try to follow some bullshit path. Musk came out with some stupid fucking UBI statement that said, I'm anticipating a future where humans will just all get their money from a benevolent government. And it's like, wait a minute, didn't you join the party that says government handouts are bad? We shouldn't have welfare. We shouldn't have that.
You try to dismantle the government from
right, exactly. Like he tried to fucking completely and totally collapse all the social programs around it to call them waste. And now AI is the biggest fucking social program out there. Like,
right.
Come on. And this is the dude that's going to launch his fucking SpaceX rocket bullshit for the biggest opening on Wall Street ever, valuing the company at $2.5 trillion. When it has never turned a profit, it will never turn a profit. It's all about going to space and using AI to do shit that doesn't benefit the vast majority of people.
Mm-hmm.
And consumer spending in the US right now, 90% of the consumer spending happens by 10% of the people. So we already have a massive have and have-nots in place. And the have-nots right now are 90% of the population. The haves are 10%, and that's going to keep shrinking until you get
I don't know.
to
I think
1%,
societies
0.1.
historically have done well in that situation. That usually ends well. That's a fairy tale story.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on, time and time again.
We don't have revolutions when that shit occurs. We don't have
right. Never happens.
right mass destructions. Hey, France,
Hi.
how's it going? Thanks for helping us build our democracy that we seem to be wanting to give away now.
Right, to the highest bidder. Speaking of technology companies and money and all this stuff, the financial arms race is heating up. Anthropic is closing a funding round projected at $900 billion, up from $380 billion just months ago, putting them neck and neck with OpenAI's $852 billion. So this is no longer competition over who has the best software. It's now a war over who can secure enough capital to buy up the world's microchips and energy grids. When 2 or 3 companies are absorbing the majority of trillions of dollars in investment, the question isn't who wins, it's what winning actually means for the rest of us dopes.
Yeah. So we've talked about this before. Things like memory are incredibly expensive. RAM is through the roof expensive right now. And I don't mean like new RAM. I mean used RAM. I have what I call my garage area network, which is a bunch of servers in there that I run different workloads on. And I need to replace one of them. And I went to go buy another used server from 2019. And to buy this server with the regular Intel CPUs in it and the hard drives and everything else around it was going to cost me around $400. But it didn't come with any RAM.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to buy 128 gigabytes of RAM, it was going to be another $1,800.
Wow.
Yes. So a year and a half ago, it would have been $250. And it's because the used RAM market is completely and totally flooded because you cannot buy new RAM. If you want to be able to use these new GPUs and the new CPUs that are out there with the higher bus speed and the better architecture that's built in, you have to have new RAM. Well, people already bought all the CPUs, GPUs, LPUs that are available, and they've bought them for multiple year contracts as the primary suppliers. And they bought all the connecting pieces that go along with it. So the technology itself that got democratized and put in everybody's hands in terms of being able to allow them to be able to go do and effectively run their own startups, build their own environments, make this stuff happen is gone. Like you don't have that capability. You can't go and start building your own data centers realistically. It's just economically not viable. And
so is that because there's not enough product, or does that have more to do with the fact that there are essentially 2 or 3 companies battling it out to own all of it?
It's both.
Okay.
I mean, there is the reason why there's not enough product is because there's 2 or 3 companies battling to own all of it, and they've bought up all the inventory.
Yeah.
And they didn't just buy up all the inventory; they bought up all the future inventory. Right. So companies out there going, okay, we can speed up production and make these things happen faster. That's not going to happen. And the Trump administration has just given economic boosts to go through and help us start building our own chips here in the US, microprocessors and GPUs and LPUs and even quantum processors. And they're starting to get into quantum computing. And these are new frontiers, and the government is actually taking a stake in it, which is different. So, and it's not minor. Like IBM has a big stake that's gone into their quantum computers that the government just bought into. Now we've got state actors coming in, working with private organizations to try to go through and inject money and capital in these pieces so that they can have a partial ownership stake in it. So when they go to ask these technologies, they can vote on the board and say, well, no, it doesn't matter if you say, I can't use it for this. I am part of the board. I want this. You're going to give it to me. And on top of that, the eminent domain clause that a lot of these things go into means that even if they just want to take it over, they can. This is... we've lived under the illusion for a long period of time that the U.S. is an actual democracy, and it's not. It's a representational government.
Mhm.
And a representational government doesn't mean that majority rules. It means representation rules. And the way that we have gamed that system is that you can buy greater values of representation by investing money through things like Citizens United into campaigns and get people to not vote in the interest of their constituency because they know that they can get enough money from these other donors to go through and accept the idea that they should be voted for and elected into office because of whatever fucking made up bullshit they're going to come up with that day. And on top of that, you've got them people going through right now and trying to suppress the vote and make things more difficult for actually have clear representation, redrawing district boundary lines, all this bullshit.
Yeah.
The net effect of this is that you wind up in a scenario where really, really rich people control any of the influence that us regular folk have on the world. And this doesn't just apply to chips. This applies to everything in the infrastructure path, everything that's out there. And we're constantly told, well, look at how much cool shit you have. Look at these smartphones. Look at all these distraction mechanisms you have. The quality of living has gone up. Everything's, and it's true. Like the quality of everyone's life has gone up. Most of us have indoor plumbing. The textiles that we use are cheaper. They're more comfortable. They're actually better for the environment these days. The amount of fuel that we use to burn in our cars to go places is less because we went through and created standards to make cars more efficient and more effective. Like, yes, the overall standard of living has gone up. If you take away the overall standard of living from the top 10% out of the equation, and you compare what the standard of living is for the 90% on the bottom and the 10% on top, that gap has grown in relative comparison. So it's not just that things have gotten better, because they have, but they've gotten better for everyone to a modest degree. But they've gotten better for that top 10% and really that top 1% and 0.1% by orders of magnitude. Right. And it's the unfairness and the thought behind this, which actually goes back to the idea that capitalism doesn't work. Capitalism just eventually turns itself into authoritarianism, which is exactly what it's doing. And it really was authoritarian in its nature to begin with, because we gave up the reins of control to government, to corporations that can come in and actually literally buy influence. And if you look at the current administration that's in, they are open for fucking business. They just secured a $1.8 billion package to pay out the January 6th rioters.
Right.
This is insane. Most people, when you tell them, hey, the government has $1.8 billion, they're going to pay out to the January 6th rioters, a big part of the country is like, I don't fucking care. Whatever.
Yeah.
My gas is expensive. I don't know how to make this work. So they don't. So they hold back, and then they wind up having and going through in different ways. So there's all kinds of things that kind of play into this. And we talked about this before. Like, we live in a vastly interconnected society between cyberspace and meat space, and it's all being blurred, and the augmented reality functions are all starting to collapse. And the illusion is dropping. The curtain is dropping. And it's not dropping fast enough, but we're just putting up other illusory mechanisms in between us to kind of hide these things, to make it so you just don't trust anybody. And I was always naturally skeptical, but there were some things that I could buy into and I could start to believe in, and I could say, oh, these things are going to work. This is going to happen. Yeah. But age makes most people temper their expectations anyways, and they get more conservative as they go along. I don't know that that's happened. I think I've probably gotten more liberal as I've gotten older. But I do think that the standard by which we're actually judging the way that this particular set of technology, artificial intelligence, and the way that we're judging the way people are using this technology to attain their goals and objectives, that is the meat that we all need to be eating, because we need to pay attention to it and we need to understand it. And the problem is that every time people start to dive into it, to dig into it deeper, there's more confusion, there's more fear, uncertainty, and doubt, also known as FUD, that's being thrown out around these pieces, and then a bunch of countermanding content. And people are not going through and saying, I need to look at multiple data sources to discern these things to figure out what's facts. They're just picking their favorite data sources, and most of the time it leans heavily into their confirmation bias. And the AI is designed to pick up on your confirmation bias from an individualistic perspective and target and focus on that. And as the content becomes more augmented reality for the individual, they can start creating baseline content and then tuning that down to the specific audience to get you to perform and act in a certain way. And this is true for advertising. This is true for the AI models. This is true for everything that you interact with. Because at the end of the day, what you are is something that produces something for somebody else. You're the product. Whether you like it or not, you're the product. You're not getting away from that as long as you walk around with the phone, as long as you're using the fucking internet, as long as you're trying to drive on roads in a car. Like, you have to go to the forest in the middle of nowhere, and it's only a matter of time before that gets fucking swallowed up too.
We had a few more heavy stories,
Yeah,
but I
let's
want
do
to
it.
pivot to something a bit lighter because, as you often like to say, none of this is permanent. We'll all be dead soon. Well, the good news is when we are dead, someone can still talk to us through the picture.
Yay!
A company called, I believe it's Vinabot, has built an AI picture frame that does exactly what it sounds like. It turns a static photo of any person into a moving, talking avatar you can have a live audio conversation with in your living room. You upload the photo, add a text prompt, and the frame handles the rest using localized processing. The obvious application is keeping a version of someone who you've lost present in your home. The less obvious question is what it means for memory, grief, and the difference between remembering someone and simulating them. So, we've talked about grief on the show in the past and using AI to sort of communicate with avatars of lost loved ones. This takes that to another level. Now I can literally hang a picture on my wall and talk to any lost loved one or anyone I want, really, through this sort of simulation effect. So lots of concern about what does this mean for grief? Does it ease the grieving process for some, or does it make it harder to let go when you are continuing to have a relationship with someone who's no longer walking around in reality?
Yeah. Um, this is a hard one. This one's
Yeah.
very hard. I mean, I think most of us have lost somebody that we loved. And
Yeah.
to be able to talk to them again and to see them uh would probably feel good and be very cathartic. Um, the question then is, what are they? What
Mhm.
are they just memories and patterns and reflections and emulations? And I mean, pictures are that, right? I mean, pictures are memories. They're snapshots.
Yeah.
Video, like going back and looking at old videos of dead relatives. Like my dad has all these like Super 8 movies of relatives that I never met from back in the 40s and 50s.
Mhm.
And or really the 50s and 60s. Um and some of them I have, and I can go back and I can like I went back and looked at my great grandmother and great grandfather back then. And it it was it felt good, but I still knew it was a movie and it was far away because I couldn't interact with it. I couldn't say
Yeah.
things to it. The idea that I could actually talk to them and have them respond to me in meaningful ways that actually feel like them is quite attractive. It's
Yeah.
quite nice. I still can't hug them, but that's a matter of time, right? I
Yeah.
mean, eventually we'll have the plastic suit or the rubber suit, whatever it is. You can have the haptic interface feedback and feel all that shit. And eventually, and it's a stated goal by several of these brain computer interface companies, you'll be able to upload a consciousness.
Mhm.
So this step of going through and having a picture frame that lets you interact with a loved one in this kind of way will probably be meaningful for a lot of people. And if you can give it enough data, it can probably emulate who they are in their voice pretty well.
Yeah.
As we feed it more and more information, the ability for it to trick us into believing that this is them is going to be high.
Yeah.
From a personal perspective, if somebody wants to upload my consciousness and my memory, like if my kids wanted to, or my wife, or anybody else, I'm all for it. Like, I like the idea that I could be around and be remembered.
And have
That being
impact.
said,
Yeah.
which version of me is going to be remembered?
Yeah.
Because, one, I am both a happy person and a depressed person and an angry person and a joyful person. Like I am all the things,
Yeah.
and sometimes there's an amplification of that that's higher than others in certain situations. And when people go through this, are they going to remember me based upon this in all of those contexts and all of those ways? Or are there going to be snippets of those pieces that wrap themselves back in? And if you take it from my recordings, like this podcast, and go, this is his personality, the fuck it is. Like,
Right.
this is the personality this is the mask I'm putting on so I can show everybody who it is that I want you to see because we're talking about something.
Right.
And most people wear masks all the time because that's how we interact with other people, because the shit that's going on inside of our heads, most of us don't, we don't explore all of it that we're going through. Like, we tend to tamp those down. We have defensive mechanisms. You know, we people have childhood trauma and they stomp that shit down and they use coping mechanisms to try to work around these problems. The person that you are, the compendium of who you are, is not going to be able to be completely put into code until we can map all of this physical meat in a realistic way. And we've talked about this before, people going through and understanding neuronal development, mapping those pieces, seeing how those pieces work, understanding the concept of things like a positronic brain. We're heading towards that. So at some point, the simulation will be better than life. And the creature inside the simulation won't need a meat suit to exist.
Mm-hmm.
And as those things kind of move in transition, the philosophical question becomes, what am I? Who am I? What is this? And I have sat up pondering this, I don't know, off and on since I was a kid, like since I was little. Like, what is reality?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not any fucking closer to an answer at 51 than I was at 15.
Yeah.
So things like this, these new technologies that are going to bring us something, give us a sense of connectivity, talk about the extension and the removal of the limitations of life, which is, death. Theoretically, we all should die at some point. That is a new and different frontier, and we don't have a psychology or a philosophy yet that is going to be able to cope and deal with it.
That's to me, it springs to mind the Force Ghost from Star Wars. I was rewatching the recent Superman movie where several years ago now, where Kal-El's interacting in real time with Dad and getting advice from him from a planet light years away and many years ago. And I love the idea of being able to have that mentor always by your side and to feel like I'm almost 50 years old. I've been looking for a mentor my whole life. And if I could find one, hell yeah, I want them to stick around even after death. But I don't know that our brains are ready for that. And I say that knowing that some of us will have, I don't know if I'm able to include myself in that group or not, have the ability to disconnect from it and realize it is a simulation. It is not the real person. But for some of us, we'll get stuck and we won't be able to see the difference. And we will feel a very real connection with something that is not a living, breathing thing. And I don't know what that does to our psychology and what that does to our ability to move forward in life if we're so stuck in the past.
Well, and also, if you can tweak and tune that thing and not interact with that thing within the scope of its own will and its own personality. Because if I can download myself and I can go, okay, I have decided that I no longer want to have the memory of this time that I got the shit kicked out of me on the playground, which was a formative thing that made me, go and do blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
I can probably erase that from my personality.
Yeah.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind becomes much easier when you no longer have to deal with an organic flesh suit that has to be modified.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same practice with the things that you interact with, where you'll be able to go through and you could have a copy of me that isn't sarcastically sardonic about certain topics. And for you, that might be the right thing. Like, that might be the version of Jason you need.
I just hope I don't end up with an ass kissing version of Jason. Like I don't want you to take the Chat GPT model and just start blowing smoke up my ass about everything that I say.
Well, and you'll have to tell it to do that, right? Like I had to go and tell Chat GPT to do that for me. Like I'm like,
Right.
for all these conversations moving forward, give me hard facts and hard truths, and
Yeah.
don't tell me I'm doing great all the time. Tell me when something is a bad idea or stupid. And
Yeah.
it does it now. And it's
Yeah.
fucking great. Like it changes the whole way that I actually interact and operate with things. I will say that Claude, I'm on my, I don't know, my 20th Claude Code project this week.
Mhm.
As it's going through and it's doing stuff, I told it kind of a similar thing. Like, hey, when you interact, you tell it to me straight. And if you have a better way of doing something, tell me when I'm gonna do that. And it
Mhm.
goes, all right. And it does a pretty good job of it. And sometimes it will
Yeah.
go through and it will make a mistake. And I'd be like, hey, that doesn't make sense. And here's why, because of blah, 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 blah. And it will pop up and go, oh, snap, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what I should have done. It's becoming more human and more
Yep.
iteratively interactive in a way that matches my style. And I love it and I hate it. And I'm
Yeah.
terrified of it all in the same breath.
I'm having similar experiences, and I haven't even deliberately said, "Hey, do this, do that." Like it's just naturally coming back and going like, "We could do it your way, but what do you think about this?" And I
Right.
can go back and go, "Well, maybe, but what about that?" And so it's just it's brilliant how it's catching up with that, but also terrifying.
Yeah.
I tried to lighten the mood. I went to death. Maybe not the right path to go. So we're not dead yet. We're getting closer. Thank God there will be smart toilets to keep an eye on all of us as we get older. A company called, I believe, either Vovo or VOVO. I'm not familiar with it. Sorry. They have a new $5,000 smart toilet with a built-in bidet, urine analysis sensor, and a feature that will make you reconsider the phrase personal data. If the toilet detects nobody has used it for more than 8 consecutive hours, it automatically texts your family members. For elderly relatives living alone, this is genuinely a brilliant, passive, dignified safety check that requires no action from the person being monitored. It also means somewhere in the world, a family group chat just received the notification Dad hasn't used the bathroom since 9 a.m. So, how scared are you? How scared are you of your toilet keeping an eye on you?
Well, I'm not scared of that at all. And to be quite honest, if we're going to have a group thread on this, I'm going to label it Shat Chat and just have everybody be able to understand what's going on. And what I'm really going to do is if the family buys this for me, I'm going to make it take pictures and be like, oh, you want to know? You want to see what I'm doing? Great. Here. Like,
I want to know if there's going to be like a weight and density sharing of what you deposit in the shitter.
Yes. Well, there will be. So this is analysis. So this tool, the ability to do this, there have been tools like this that people have used for a long time where, you piss in a cup or you shit in a bucket and you turn around, you send that stuff in and they do analysis. Now you're going to have the ability for them to go through and do this type of analysis to understand what's going on. And from a chemical tracing perspective, you should be able to figure out what's actually happening. And it's interesting because you've got tools like this guy, the Lumen, which actually goes through and reads what you're exhaling to understand what things you should or should not be eating at any given point in time. Believe it or not, folks, you burn most of the calorie, or you expel the most waste in your body from a weight loss perspective in breathing. It's actually the carbon that you exhale, not the shit and not the sweat. That's the reality. So we've been measuring all these things for a very long period of time. And people have a ton of fitness trackers, and we've been going around this level for a long time. Now we're looking at the exhaust port, which you really have to think about it that way. Like from a diagnostic perspective, from a car's perspective, like the stuff that you're breathing in and breathing out, that's the equivalent of putting fuel in, blowing these things out. But we've got multiple different exhaust ports. We've got one in the trunk. Some of us have one in the middle. Some of us have one in the front. We've got our mouths, our noses, like these are all things out there. And then we got a bunch of little tiny ones all over us. So we like spit sweat out and move those things across because we're just not really great closed systems. We're actually pretty leaky and it's problematic. This is just one more tool. This is one more way to understand these things. And my guess is that it's probably going to be used to detect things like blood in the stool to figure out if you've got polyps, if you've got cancer, like this is a good technology. How people use it, that's a
That sounds
different scenario.
I was just going to say,
right.
where this goes, we've talked about this before. Once the insurance companies get a hold of what the urinalysis pulled from your morning piss, you fucked.
Quite possibly. Yeah. Like it's going to start going, well, your insurance rates are going to go up because I can tell that you've been drinking a lot of alcohol lately. And it's like, fuck you, pee toilet. Like, am I going to have to do a drug test now in the pee toilet where I'm going to be like, I need someone to pee in a bottle for me and dump it in there? It's
going to be automatic. Your morning piss is going to be your pee test.
Yeah. So, I mean, at what point does do people just not care anymore? When am I just when is the thing just like, I don't care anymore. You can do whatever you want. And on top of that, think about the countermeasures for this. Like, my insurance company is going to do these types of things. Okay, the first thing a nerd like me is going to do is I'm going to hack that motherfucking toilet. And I'm going to hack that software. And I'm going to make that software do something ridiculous and stupid that drops my insurance rates. Like, the ability to cheat, maneuver, manipulate, drive these things through as you make them more and more digital is just going to get higher and higher. And people that are
toilet hacking was not the job that I saw as the job of the future, but I guess here we are.
Shit's about to get real, man. I mean, that's how it comes down. I mean, so way back in the day, I was going to start a social media company called Crap Chat. And basically what it was is you're going to have stories from the red perspective and the blue perspective, and you're going to have little rolls of toilet paper that would go through and tell you how full of shit each story was.
Oh, that's great.
Right. So like I was starting to work on this with a bunch of folks, and we start to build this thing out. And like within 20 minutes, we're like, okay, we've got 4 people here, and we are all on various levels of the social and political spectrum. And the far right guy basically came back and said, I can't do this with you guys because I am not going to be able to continue to have my belief structure if you guys are challenging it this way all the time. That's what this toilet's going to do. If you believe that you're healthy, that your diet's okay, that you're doing the right things and getting enough water, it's going to break that down for you real fast. And you're going to be like, holy shit, I am not okay. I need to make changes and adjustments. And most of us just aren't fucking ready for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm not ready for this to be over, but it is. We are out of time. Thank you so much for listening. If you have enjoyed this and are looking forward to what your toilet tells you about the future, share this episode with somebody who would find it amusing as well. You can do that with the links at our website, brobots.me. That's also where you'll find another episode from us on Monday morning. Thanks so much for listening.
Stay healthy. Keep shitting.